Hi guys, welcome back to my channel Lush Gardener. So a lot of you have been asking me how to make these circular pots. Now making these pots is pretty simple, but the only thing is that you might not probably find the same type of mold, because this was a plastic container that I picked up from one of the store, and when I went back to purchase them again, I was not able to find them. So there isn't a particular company, it was just random plastic containers that I found in the store. So I'm going to show you the entire process. There are certain things that you would require in order to make concrete pots. Okay, at this point of time, my table is completely messed up, so I'm sorry about it. So in order to make the pot, you need at least 2 parts of the fine sand. This is the fine grey sand that I usually filter and save up to make pots. And then this is 2 parts, and then you need 3 parts of grey cement. I would always recommend to go with grey cement because grey cement is much more stronger as compared to white cement. But again, it's not compulsory. If you do not have the grey cement, you can go with the white cement. So we will just mix it into this container. Now probably this would be a little bit more, but that's absolutely okay. And then we need some water. Now always remember guys, water accordingly. Do not water in one go, because in case if the water is too much, it will be very difficult for you to manage it. So initially try to put very little water and start mixing it. Only when you feel that water is more needed, you can go ahead and add some more, but initially just add very little water. So the interesting fact about this pot size is, I just wanted to share it. So while I'm mixing, I'll just give you a quick story behind this container. So what happened is that I used to make pots for almost 3 to 4 years. I have been making different types of pots. Initially I used to make very little, probably 1 or 2 a week, and there was always some or the other issue. So it took me almost 3 years to actually figure out the right dimensions of the pot. That's wherein I got the let me show you too. So this is where I found this plastic container. So I purchased one first because I was not very sure if I'll be able to get the right dimension. So first I purchased this one container from the local store. And when I made the pot and when the pot was unmolded, I'll put it up on the screen how it looks like. When I unmolded the pot, I was completely satisfied with the pot, because ideally when I used to make pot, either the edges used to be very thin or the edges used to be very thick, and I was not very happy with the dimensions. Or at times what used to happen is either the pot is not too deep, either the pot is very deep. So a couple of things used to end up in that, and I used to be I was not completely happy with the type of pot that I have. And when I purchased this particular plastic container that I showed you, and you can see on the screen, the pot was perfect in all terms, whether in terms of the edge, whether in terms of the height, the depth of the pot, the thickness of the pot. Everything was so perfect. I immediately ran back to the store and picked up another 9 of them because I didn't want it to lose out on these containers. And yes, thankfully I went ahead and purchased 9 of them, because after a month or so when I went to the store again, they were out of stock. Now after almost 2 years, I went to find those containers again, and I never found them again. So you can see it can be very difficult to get certain containers. So thankfully I got those 9 containers, and after that I have never found those containers again. So it was a very good deal for me that I went ahead and picked up those containers. So as you can see over here, the mix is taking a little bit. It takes a little bit of time for everything to mix along, so you need to keep mixing. Now you have to mix thoroughly because you want the sand and the cement to mix thoroughly. Now it's very important to use sand, guys. Please don't make pots only with the grey cement or the white cement. The pot will be formed, but it is not going to be strong. It will break easily. So you have to be extremely careful. And now you can see it will be very easy to mix. So it will take around 5 to 10 minutes for me to mix this completely. So let me completely mix this up and get back to you. So now after mixing it well, the consistency is right. Not too watery, not too dry. This will fit into our mold perfectly. Now if you want, guys, you can add oil. If you are doing this for the first time, you'll have to add oil. I have a very soft plastic. This is a very soft plastic, so I usually do not add any oil because it tends to come out very easily out of the pot. But if you have a slightly harder plastic, you will have to use some oil. It will make things easy for you. You'll have to use oil on both the containers. I'm not using oil because I have been using this pots quite often. So now we will just fill it up. Now, as I said, this mix is going to be a little bit too much. Probably I can make something else out of it. And we will tap this so that all the air bubbles can be released out of this. As you can see, these are the air bubbles that now a lot of people do like those holes in the pot, which gives a very rustic look. If you want those holes, I will try to find, okay, over here we have one. So if you're not going to tap, it's going to leave these air pockets. These will be the air bubbles. So you'll have these spots in the pot. If you are a person who likes these, you can leave the pot as it is. You don't need to tap onto the container. But if you want a very smooth finished pot, then you'll have to tap it and try to release all the air pockets. So I think this is more than enough. Now we're going to take the inner container and just place it. So I think I need to add a little bit more. I'm going to add some more. Okay, I think this should be good enough of the material. So we're going to tap it again and release all the air pockets. Now we're going to take the inner container and just place it inside. And we need a little bit of weight, so I'm going to move it to a different place. So I have added another pot. This is just for the weight. I will add another one just to increase the weight. Okay, there we go. And we're just going to tap it once again from the side so all of the air pockets can be released. And now we are going to let this sit aside. So do not place it in direct sunlight. You do not want to let the cement dry faster. The slower the cement dries, the much stronger the concrete will be. So we are going to keep it in indirect bright light or shade, anywhere wherever you want to keep it, as long as the sun is not falling onto it. Keep it in a place where it is very cooler. Keep it for around 48 hours. Let it set in, and that should do the trick. So I'll show you the one that I've already made. So I had already made a pot, and we will take out the inner container. And this is how it looks like. I really like how the edges have come. They look very even. Of course, there's going to be a little of bubbling on the surface. That's okay. We can always sandpaper it. Now I usually do not sand the edges. I just leave it as it is because it gives a more raw look to it. Now we'll just turn it. We need to give a couple of taps. Slowly start to release it. After a couple of taps, you can see the pot will slightly start to come out of its own because we had kept it in the sun. And there we go. It's slightly darker in color because it's still a little bit wet, but the pot is off, but it's come out really well. So now what we have to do is, it's not ready to be used right now because it still requires a little bit more of the curing process. So what we will be doing is, I usually tend to put it in water. Right now I don't have any of my trays vacant because, as I said, most of my trays are filled with the soil mix and filtration stuff and all that. So what we can do is, or what you can do is, you can put it in a bucket of water, or you can put it in anything that has water. It has to be kept at least for 2 to 3 days for it to cure more. So I'm going to take some water and put it in this. Now let's say for whatever reason you don't have any tray or anything, it's absolutely okay. All you can do is just fill this up with some water. That's about it. And you have to just leave it like this for around 3 to 4 days is more than enough. And you will also see, let me take this out, the moment you are going to add water, the pot that was lighter in color will start to get darker in color because it will start to absorb that water into the pot. So the water will keep the pot cool. When the pot is cool, it will cure. Don't put it out in direct sunlight in one go because we want to cure it slowly. The longer it takes time to cure, the much more stronger the concrete pot will be. So we're just going to leave it as it is for at least 3 to 4 days. After 3 to 4 days, we will make a drain hole. I'm sure you'll all know how to make a drain hole. You can take any screwdriver or a scissor or anything pointed metal and just make a hole into the pot. and then the pot is ready to be used. But it's very important, let the pot cure. The longer it takes, the more stronger the pot will be. So this is going to be kept aside for a couple of days, and then probably once it's completely done, I will put it back again in morning direct sunlight, and then it will completely get cured. So guys, that's all about it. I hope that this video was helpful to you. If it was, please hit the like button, and if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing to it. Until then, take care, stay safe, and keep propagating.